Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Good day and welcome to your 14th lecture of development communication. Dear students, our topic for today is barriers in communication. So first of all, we would like to understand what really barriers in communication means. Any kind of disturbance in a communication process is called barrier in a communication. In journalistic term, it is known as noise in a communication process. There are many types of barriers of communication, but we will discuss some of the important ones. The first one is language barrier, then psychological barriers, physiological barriers, physical barriers, attitudinal barriers, and cultural barriers. So we'll come to the language barrier first. Linguistic ability. When the language of the sender and the receiver are different, like the sender is speaking in English and the receiver is speaking in Pashto, then they both cannot understand each other properly, then there will be certainly a barrier in a communication or a noise in a communication process. Even in the same language, dialect like in Pashto, the people of Swat and Quetta speak Pashto. But when we say it's okay in Swati Pashto, we say da khade. In Balochi Pashto, they say da shade. Then there is a barrier in communication, there is a noise in the communication, we cannot understand each other. Same is in the case with the accent. Like if our accent are different in a same language, then we cannot understand each other, so there will be a barrier or a noise in a communication process. Like Americans cannot understand an Irish person when he is talking in simple English. Now we come to psychological barriers. In psychological barriers, the state of the sender and the receiver, that in which state the sender and the receiver are, influence how the message is communicating back and forth. They may be personal worries. If the sender or a receiver has personal worries, then there will be a disturbance in a communication. Same is in the case with personal stress or personal anger. If a person is in stress or feel anguish, then he cannot understand you. Then there will be a communication barrier or a noise in a communication. Shyness. If you feel shy, you cannot send a message properly. Or if you are judgmental about a person, like if you are talking to a person and you think he is a cruel or a disturbed person, then there will certainly be a noise in a communication process. You cannot communicate with that person properly. Or same is in the case with the stereotyping a person. Like if you are talking to a girl and you assume that she cannot do what you are saying, there will be no interest left in that communication. Thus, there will be a noise or barrier in that communication due to stereotyping. Now, physiological barriers. If a person is special and cannot hear, then it's a legit noise in a communication. Or even sight. When a person cannot see, there certainly will be a noise. He cannot see your gestures or face expression. Or people with reduced hearing can also be construed as a physiological barrier or physiological noise. Now we'll come to physical noise. If a person is far from you and you have trouble hearing him or her, then it is a physical noise in a communication. or if you are communicating with someone and there is a traffic noise or any other ambient noise, or if you live near an airport and the plane is passing by, then there will certainly be a disturbance in a communication or a noise in a communication process. Now we will come to attitudinal barriers. Behaviors and perception, like if you or your receiver behavior or perception is demeaning or aggressive, then there will certainly be a noise in a communication. Or if a person is totally different from you, having a personality conflict with you, or the management is poor, let's say in a meeting, or the person you are talking is reluctant to change or lack motivation, then there will certainly be a noise in a communication process or barriers in that communication. Now we'll come to the cultural barriers. In different cultural setups, emotions are expressed differently. It can bring up disturbance in a communication. Same is in the case with the intimacy, like in certain culture you are not allowed to touch someone, or certain gestures you cannot do certain gestures in a different culture setups. They are construed as different. So there will be intimacy or gestures. If you have different gestures and intimacy in different culture setups, then there will be a barrier in a communication or noise in that communication. The last one is cliche. Like in our culture, if a person is in his dying bed and you go to the hospital and ask him, how are you? He is obliged culturally that he will say, I'm okay, but on the contrary, he is about to die. So there will certainly be a noise or a barrier in that specific communication. I hope you understand the barriers in communication, and if you didn't, then do let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much.